got a moment?
You're not needed, sir. It's okay.
You got a moment, sir?
You're not needed. It's okay.
I need you to come listen to the sound food.
No, you're not needed. It's okay.
I'm talking about. Thank you, sir. Hey, man.
So hey everybody, welcome. I'm Drew Hudson. I'm the Director of Environmental Action. I'm just going to be really quick. I think introduce Dr. Bullard and let you know a couple of the rules. Just so you know, we are recording your conversation this morning, if that's all right with everybody. Yes, good, great. We recorded your conversation last Sunday. So if you are asking a question in a few minutes, please speak up a little bit, speak towards the front of the room so we can hear you up here where the recording stuff is. And otherwise, we're just really glad that everybody is here today and gets a chance to spend a couple minutes with Bill McKibben, who's been such a great inspiration and leader in our movement. And talking about book. And so we're really excited to have Bill here. When Anthony first told me about the idea of this delegation, one of the first thoughts I had was, wow, it's an incredibly good idea, first of all. And second of all, we've got to find a way to get all these people together in rooms with each other. So I know you guys have been doing tons of meetings and great work and negotiation all for the last 2 weeks. We're almost at the deadline now. And maybe Bill can tell us a little bit about what's been going on in the negotiations today. But I really appreciate your work, and I'm so glad that you're here to be part of this and to be part of the whole process. Dr. Bullard is going to be
One thing I'd like to say is we're glad to have Bill speak to us and give us an update and to connect with us and take it away.
All right. I will just talk briefly, and then I'm curious to know what y'all are thinking about. First of all, to be just to be in the same space, it's not really a room, the same space as Dr. Bullard is a tremendous honor for those of us who are older. You know, we spent our whole lifetimes knowing about his work and following his work and thinking about what the new dimensions that he's added to his work over the years. So Dr. Bullard, what a pleasure, as always, in your company. He also, as it turns out to be the great modern master of Twitter. 7,000 or 8,000 tweets a day. All things that are important. And it's great to be with you all. When I saw that there was a big delegation from HBCUs coming, I was really happy because it's something that's been missing in the past. You know, I do tons of organizing all around campuses, all over the world, all kinds. It's really good to get people over here some of the time. Partly because we need you to, pump up these guys and make some progress. Partly so that you can see what's going on, because it's not, for the most part, really all that good, what goes on. I mean, here's how I think about what we're doing here in Paris. This isn't a game, this is a scoreboard. Okay? We spent the last 5 years organizing, marching, going to jail, sitting in, writing papers, blah, blah, blah. It's been really good and really important, and it's put some pressure on the system, and now we see how much pressure. It's like we've been playing poker for 5 years now, we've been drinking chips, and tomorrow we start the game again when this is over, okay? Because we're going to get an agreement out of here. We've got a big enough movement that they can't stiff us completely like they did in Copenhagen, where we got nothing, okay? But the fossil fuel industry is still strong as we are. So we're not going to get an agreement, anything like we need. You saw that they're going to include maybe text a 1.5 degree target, which is good. We were, a bunch of us did a sit-in yesterday over next to the, we were all chanting 1.5, we might survive, okay? Led by our friends at the low-lying island nations, probably will disappear sometime in the next 40 years, But that 1.5 degree temperature target in the text isn't anything at all like what they're actually planning to do. If you add up all the promises they're actually making the plan to do, the temperature of the planet's going to go up 3.5 degrees Celsius, 6 or 7 degrees degrees Fahrenheit. We're not going to be able to live in most of the places we live now. We're not going to be able to farm the way we farm. We're not going to be able to have civilization if the temperature goes up 6 or 7 degrees. So the thing that they're giving us is not very good. All right, just good enough to encourage us to keep fighting going forward, because we figure now we see, as movements have always seen, that when you organize, you start to win. Okay, our problem is we're up against the most powerful opponent any movement's ever had to go up against, which is the fossil fuel industry. No kidding, the richest industry in the history of the world. Exxon has made more money in the last 5 years than any company in the history of money. So I hope I'm not. I hope I'm not being too cynical. I hope I'm not turning you cynical too early if I say that sometimes in our world, money buys you somewhat more power than you otherwise deserve. Does that seem reasonable? Well, in this case, it's bought them the U.S. Congress, all right, and most other Congresses around the world. They own them. That's why we've done nothing. I wrote the first book about climate change. I wrote it before you guys were born, okay? We knew about the problem in the late 1980s. It turns out, as we've learned in the last 8 weeks from a series of newspaper revelations, it wasn't just me who knew about it. Exxon knew everything there was to know about it. They had great climate models. There are great scientists that were working for them that were telling them how much the world was going to warm. They knew all about it. They knew about it so well that they used all that information to go bid on new oil leases up in the Arctic because they knew it was going to melt. But did they tell anybody? No. They spent tens of millions of dollars building this whole big architecture of denial. You see, they hired all the guys who used to work for the tobacco industry to come work for them, spreading the same kind of doubt about climate change. We should not be at COP21. We should have reached an agreement at COP 1 or 2 in 1995 or 1996 and gotten to work. Instead, we're just now starting. If we get through this week, it'll be the first international agreement of any kind. Meanwhile, we've waited an awful long time. In the last week, while we've been here, there's been flooding so bad in Chennai, India, a city of 8 million people, that it was cut off from the rest of the world. Hundreds of people drowned. It was a lot like what happened in New Orleans. Okay, flooding so bad in the UK, the whole towns were underwater. Flooding so bad in the Maldives and the Indian Ocean, big falls was washing away. Flooding so bad in Norway and Sweden that they broke 200-year-old records. The day before yesterday, Portland, Oregon, which is kind of what place to begin with, had the rainiest day in its history. Today, in western Washington state, it's so hot, record temperatures, that all the snow up in the Cascades is melting. There's a big rainstorm going on at the same time, and it's landslides that closing highways up and down the western side of Washington. This is what happens when a climate starts to get out of control. We've raised the temperature 1 degree so far, and this is the kind of thing that happens. If we let it go up 3.5, 2 degrees, 2.5 degrees, Katie barred the door. I mean, it's just, the scientists are clear that if we let that happen, you guys get to spend the prime of your careers dealing with not the stuff you're spending in school, you get to spend it dealing with emergency response. Okay? That's what you're going to need. So our job is to take this off as fast as we can. We can't stop global warming. That's no longer one of the possibilities. Maybe if it started 25 years ago, we didn't. We can maybe keep it from getting utterly out of control, but that's going to take already. We just had a press conference over in the Blue Zone a few minutes ago to announce big plans around the world for the spring. And the announcements came when it was made by our colleague Liddy Nakpil from the Philippines, Kumi Naidu from South Africa, and Nemo Kwase from Africa, whose name I can't pronounce, from Turkey, all the kind of global colleagues, because this is a big global movement, okay? The best parts of the movement are fully globalized, fully connected, everybody working together. What we're going to do in May in every country in the world is find the biggest carbon deposits, the huge coal mines, oil fields, whatever. We'll be doing civil disobedience in a lot of those places. I think what we're going to be doing in the States, though it's a little less clear, but I think what we're going to be doing is going after Exxon as hard as we can, okay? Exxon has conveniently placed 11,000 good locations for having demonstrations all across America. You've seen them. They have the large ExxonMobil sign outside, and they sell you gasoline. Okay, I went up to the one near my home in Vermont a couple of 6 weeks or so ago, and I just took a sign that said this station is temporarily closed because Exxon lied, and I sat there for 20 minutes. I gave the guy who ran the store $100 because it wasn't his fault. You know, I didn't want to destroy his trade for the day, but I just sat there until the police come and haul me away. All right, and it was good. It did what it was supposed to do. It got some of the message out. For a while that afternoon, it was the top trending story on Facebook until it was replaced by a video of a corgi dog barking at a miniature pumpkin. But for a moment, they did the right thing. Okay. We're going to need a ton of that kind of stuff, all right? It's stupid that we have to go to jail in order to deal with this stuff. In a rational world, we would not have to do any of this stuff. It makes no sense, okay? But we do because there is too much power on the other side. Now, one of the good things that's happening is that this movement is increasingly managing to make common cause with lots of other movements at the same time. So we just did, the night before last, we did a bunch together. We did a big event with people who are my favorite partners, have been for the last couple of years in this whole fight, which are the guys in the hip hop conference. Lennox Yearwood has become my just closest confidant and colleague in his work. And they understanding how things are linked. So we were in, Dr. Wright, we were in New Orleans with Lennox marching on the 10th anniversary of Katrina, and that was a great day. We had that powerful panel that morning and things. By the next day, this tour was in Ferguson, okay? And it was talking about police violence, and it was talking about divestment from fossil fuels, because power rests in a very narrow set of hands. Who, you guys have heard of the Koch brothers, yeah? Okay, taken together, the two of them are the richest man in the world, right? They're worth $100 billion. They made their money in oil and gas. They're going to spend $900 million. That's more than Republicans or the Democrats spent on last time's election. Okay? Koch brothers, party of two. Right? When they win, if they win, they're going to make sure nothing happens about climate. But they're also going to make sure that every other bad thing that happens, public education is wrecked, that every other thing we need for social progress gets taken down. So as these movements come together, there are real opportunities. That's a good thing. People used to say that environmentalism was something that rich white people did. And if you didn't know where your next meal was coming from, it's going to be environmental. People like Dr. Waller, Dr. Wright, that began to make clear that that wasn't true. For me, the real revelatory moment that when we started 350.org 8 years ago, it was myself and 7 college students, okay? And our first thing we did was organize this global day of action all over the world. Just ask people all over the world to do something. And we didn't know how well it would work, okay? But it turned out it worked well. So there were lots of people, mostly young people, who wanted to do something. We had 5,200 demonstrations in 181 countries on the same day. And the pictures from those things were coming in 30 and 40 So I was just sitting there transfixed, watching these pictures come in. In fact, I started projecting them up on those big screens at the end of Times Square that usually have vodka ads that really showing these pictures as they were coming in. The thing that really struck me after watching it about 10 minutes was like that thing about how rich white people. Almost everybody that we were working with around the world was poor, black, brown, Asian, young, because that's what the world actually consists of. Okay, and what do you know? Everybody is exactly as worried about the future as anybody else. In fact, maybe more so because the people in the poorest parts of the world, the future is crashing down hard on your head right now. I mean, not some future threat, not something that's going to happen 10 years from now or happen to your children or happen to your grandchildren. It's something that happened last week. We did this mock trial of Exxon off in the middle of Paris, and it was great. You can watch the footage, some of the footage now. But the first person to testify was a friend of mine from the Marshall Islands, a young woman named Kat, yay tall, but very strong woman. And I was acting as the kind of prosecuting attorney trying to get her story out because they're trying to convict Exxon, as it were. The Marshall Islands, the highest part of the country, is a meter above sea level, 3 feet, this far above sea level. Every person she knows, every person she loves, every relative she has lives a meter above sea level, okay? Which is going to be, on current trends, underwater in 50 years, and already is under the water some of the time. I said, tell this woman about that. She said, well, you know, last spring we had an especially big tide, and it washed right through. My mother woke me up in the middle of the night and said, you got to get up. You know, she said, wow, what? And right at that moment, a big tide washed through and it carried away. One of the things it took away was my diary, you know, that I've kept for all these years, just disappeared right out the door. And she was almost in tears just remembering. And then she said, the other thing it washed away is a lot of the graves of our ancestors who were buried there, you know, a little atoll. It's not much wider than this. Just they've been there for thousands of years, but now they're not there anymore. Think about that. Think about the fact that people have lived someplace for 5,000 to 10,000 years, and then they couldn't live there anymore because companies like Exxon literally flat out, straight up, just told lies, kept us from doing stuff. If I get a little over emotional about all this but it's hard when you now know as many people as I know around the world who have to deal with this stuff. So I guess all I'm trying to say is thank you so much for being a part of this. Absolutely essential to it. And the thing to realize if it begins to seem discouraging, because sometimes it seems discouraging to me, I just remind myself, I look at some of those endless pictures in our Flickr account and remind myself that we have brothers and sisters all world over who are engaged in this fight, and engaged in it in all kinds of ways. And we're getting better and better at it. Look at someone like Anthony. Look at the work they're doing. Able to start moving things. We're not going to win everything. We're going to lose some bad things this week. Exxon's going to win on the fight tomorrow. But we took one off them 2 weeks ago. We won this fight over the Keystone Pipeline that had been absorbing us for year upon year. So we're ready to do some winning of our own as well. In fact, I think that we're going to win 4 more fights. The thing I can't guarantee you is that we might have waited too long to get it started. And I curse myself. Catching up with the physics of climate change is going to be hard. But maybe we still have some room to keep it utterly entirely under control. We'll see, but it's going to depend on all of us working harder than we worked even before. I look forward to doing it shoulder to shoulder with y'all and start checking out where the Exxon stations in your local neighborhood are located. I'm eager to hear what you guys are thinking about, what you're working on, what you guys are doing here. impressions from these this week out here?
So I'm a graduate of Gilman University. These last 2 weeks, we spent a lot of time developing solutions that we can take back to our neighborhoods and making it easy to implement. So we coordinated with NAACP, tons of individuals from around the world to develop a blueprint that spreads awareness and that really connects the dots for our community between climate change and our everyday issues. So, for example, food deserts and our access to water, which is directly linked to climate change. I think this has been a great experience for us all to develop these skills to navigate these spaces, right? So some of us have been able to go into the blue zone and been able to witness some of the malarkey, right, and some of the good things that have been going on, right? So I think that's pretty much the gist. You know, we had the opportunity today to be debriefed by the State Department, and I believe that's it. We've done a lot of interviews.
It's so important that work on figuring out how to connect this stuff up at home. I think the sleeper issue for the next 4 or 5 years, one of the key words in our vocabulary is going to be asthma, over and over again, because all of a sudden we've sort of seen it in poor communities in the U.S. and in urban communities, but now everybody around the world is seeing it. I don't know whether people saw the pictures from Beijing yesterday. Beijing closed schools yesterday. The biggest city in the world, nobody went to school, not because it was snowing, not because air was too dirty. You know what makes that really sad? The particulate matter in Beijing yesterday was 235 parts per million. In New Delhi, it was 400 parts per million. But they kept going to school, okay, because it hasn't yet reached that level of consciousness there, but it's going to. And this is a worldwide, climate change can be a little hard to see sometimes, but the other stuff is right in your face all the time. It's so key. Right?
So since I've been looking for that, alright. So basically, the first thing I want to say is that I thought initially that us working on climate change, I thought personally that this was something way up on my head. Something. How could I help to change all the things that have been done in practice? I've learned through COP21 that there's so much of us working on this issue, so much of us care about this issue. That's an important message that I think we should bring home as well. Because I didn't think I actually made any change.
I think it's such an important point. I think the biggest problem in getting people to work on climate change hasn't been that they don't care about it. It's been that it seems so big, and we seem so small in comparison. That it's like, okay, give me some other problem that I might be able to work on. So for a long time, environmentalists mostly just said, here's a bunch of individual solutions, change your light bulb. Those are good. Those are important. I've changed all my light bulbs. I got solar panels coming off my ears. It costs a price, all right? But I don't feel myself that that's how we solve global warming. This is a structural, systemic problem. It's rooted in how power is distributed. So the only way for individuals to solve it is not to be individuals.
Numbers.
Join. Group. Exactly right.
Well, I was wondering, my question was going to be probably, I'm from Jamaica, and the people in America are way more aware of the issue. They're way more aware, and I wanted to know how we could expand this to countries like mine, where people hasn't been done before, and people are worrying about other people.
That's why we started going out with global data so everybody can start. Parts of it really the enormous participation. So we're going to take it back to make the world just people that are already there and with others not in May, we're going to do global data action. In Kingston, you know, that would be just
Right on.
perfect. That would be great.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for paving the way as well.
I understand that you have a student diversity.
Yes.
I'm just trying to understand. I know that there are a lot of people who there, a lot of people who rise. Or is there any way that the HBCUs can get involved with the student diversity?
Absolutely. Some of them already are. There's campaigns at Howard and other places that at least started. This divestment thing is so simple. Any place where there's a pile of money, an endowment, a portfolio, every college, no matter how small, has some kind of endowment, someplace, money set aside. Okay? It's invested in stock. That is, don't invest in stock in companies that are recognized. And more and more now, people are joining in. So lots of colleges have begun to divest. Stanford, Oxford, Syracuse, Georgetown, and lots of other things. The World Council of Churches, United Church of Christ. Not everybody. I'm a Methodist. We're still fighting to get the Methodists to divest. Big, you know, even now big companies starting to divest, things like that. So you just got to sit with your board of trustees, show them the data, which among other things shows that they make more money. And then you can try and do some more. And if they don't, well, then you have to sometimes be a little more persuasive. At MIT right now, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, the students are in day 57 of the sitting outside the president's office to get to divest. It's a hard case because the Cook brothers are on the board of trustees at MIT. Count yourselves lucky if the Cook brothers aren't on the board of trustees.
Yes, hi. So it's interesting that we were looking to divestment website. But so the issue is that with divestment, of course, Exxon is they donate money to corporations and institutions. But the problem is that if we're divesting, we have to find a way to replace those funds as well. So would you think, do you know of any major energy efficient companies or something?
Absolutely. There's a whole new investment that one of the places to invest your money is right back in school in terms of making they're finding that most universities can take $1 million and put it in things like new light bulbs and new ventilation systems. The return on investment is making more money than they invested in thinking about because the trustees used to think about one of those things as an investment and the other as a capital expenditure and what that is going to do their mind.
One of the things we also have to take into consideration is that some of these major schools that have divested from hospitals, they have like $1 million endowments.
The more money you have, the harder it is to believe me, the more money you get, the more you get. Rich people, in my experience, is the hardest people on earth.
They got more oil money.
I'm down to, no matter what it is, trust me, if you want to borrow $5 from someone, find someone who has $50, not someone who has $50 million. $50 million person is not interested in borrowing $5. There's tons of work to be done. And you'll help all the way. Email me. I'm Bill.McKibben at Gmail. And I get my email every day, and I'm happy to help you follow up with whoever's doing what.
Thank you.
Very good.
So as a part of we were all a part of the design part, and yes, last year, and so we wanted to know how we can actually take our message. I think one thing is like how we recognize actually sometimes
just right. Yeah. Combination is always the first part of the movement, right? Critical mass, you guys have the critical mass. So as you take it on, before I do, I look at your pictures all, so I can start sending things out. I've actually, Anthony sent me some stuff, so I've been tweeting it out. And I have now, somehow I got to have 170,000 followers on Twitter, so I feel like I got the most useful thing I do all day is tweet sometimes. But that's, if you find a message, if you can figure out a powerful message to get out, whatever it is, that's the it will spread and it will help it spread. Because you guys have an important voice. HBCUs is such an important part of American history and American culture. And it's such an inspiration to so many other parts of the world. There's an entire continent that thinks about HBCUs in a way that other people think about the Ivy League. Those are the places that Howard, Texas, everywhere else are just, known and understood. So this is really important message to get out. We will spread it.
Thank you so much for being here. We're going to come around and take a group shot with Bill. And I just want to say one more thing. You heard what Bill was saying about HBCUs, and I think that is a complete review of what Justice Scalia said just the other day about HBCUs being slow track schools. HBCUs are not slow track schools. And I just remind Justice Scalia that it was a Yale graduate that took slow to respond to Hurricane Katrina. So, all very, very much.
It's actually a funny shot. What? It's a funny shot. It's talking about the female representation.
Getting on the ground today.
Yes, sir. Taking pictures? Yeah, I'll take
What you said you want? We proud. Hey.
We're going to take a couple still.
Do you need spare fingers as well?
Good. Hang on. What do you all say when you want to be heard at the
HBCU.
Sounds good to me. 1, 2,
HBCU.
all right. Hang on, we got more selfies. Hang on.
Yeah, I have to take hard. And there's no Dr. Bill's phone right there.
HBCU.
All right, thanks everybody. Just finishing our luncheon time conversation with Bill McKibben and HBCU students. I'm Drew Hudson, the director here at Environmental Action. And one last thing before you go, right above this window, there's a link where you can chip in to support this kind of work. We were able to sponsor a couple of the HBCU students to come over. We'd love to chip in more. And if you are able to donate today to support this kind of work, we'll be able to do that. So if you thought this was an important conversation, you want to see more HBCU students here in Paris and at conversations like this, then donate right above and we'll help make it happen. Thanks again from everybody at Environmental Action. I'm Drew Hudson.